events. And this time, ECDF is coming up with a parenting summit. It's a mega parenting summit in Guwahati, which will be held on the 28th of September. And it will be in association with Vandya International School. And we will have a few speakers joining us who had joined us today in the SOI and who will be deliberating on effective parenting skills. And today we have with us Dr. Mayuri Dutt. She is very she's a very active member of ECTF, I would say, and she's a patron of our forum. And Dr. Mayuri Dutt is the director of Don Bosco Schools, Malda, West Bengal. And she dons a lot of hats, but I will not be going into all of that because we wanted to delve into what we want to do today. It's about the effective parenting and enabling learning environment, which I'm sure she's going to really give some very interesting inputs. Her topic for today is exploring curiosity, the importance of experimentation at preschool age. So over to you, Mayuri.
Uh, Thank you, Ashvi. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to come out with new innovative ideas and then keep me busy with preparing those PPT. But I would request you to run my PPT because as I have just joined in through the mobile phone. So are you ready? As we say that in Montessori, normally what happens is we always tell the children that if you are playing with dirt, you're doing a good job. If you're running around, you're doing a great job. And why do we say so is another thing which I think in India, our teacher community should know. Uh, the importance of experimentation at preschool age is an upcoming topic, probably doing rounds in the scientific community. And as a science communicator, I decided upon devoting more time in making teacher experience that how good this topic is and how good this is going to gel with a new concept of teaching learning pedagogy, which has been introduced in NEP 2020. Next slide. We always know that we create learning centers, and in these learning centers which have come up through various playgroup schools like Kidzi, Kangaroo Quid, and others, the concept of learning centers had been always different than the regular schooling. Next slide, please. So everything I ever really needed to know, I learned in kindergarten was always what Robert Flunham would say, that if I wouldn't have learned this small thing in my kindergarten school, I wouldn't have known about it because these are not regular features which are seen in the houses wherein my mother would ask the child to play with dirt. Next slide. I'm on the third
There's
one.
a slight
Third.
problem. There's a slight problem with the slides. Just one moment. Give me one.
Anyway, I'll continue.
Yeah,
So when
please.
we talk about Montessori school learning, the Montessori concept, somewhere down the line, I found that that we are not focusing on the bank street approach of science in our Montessori school. And I would be just focusing a little bit upon what is actually the bank street approach and how it is going to be beneficial for the junior primary schools of our country. The Bank Street approach and Montessori are both popular preschool approaches that differ in their teaching methods, philosophies, and emphasis. And what are their philosophies and emphasis is what that comparison I would like to share with all the audience. If we talk about the teaching methodology of the Bank Street approach, then it says that we should have a play-based learning, hands-on activities, puzzles, and field trips. If we talk about Montessori teaching methodology, it is all about hands-on learning, sensory motor activities, and mixed age classrooms. If we talk about the philosophy of Bank Street, they talk about focusing on the whole street, whole child's development and social emotional learning, and creating social justice. Whereas in Montessori, it talks about focusing on independence, personal development, and respect for others and their environment. we go further to how they emphasize this teaching methodology. It is the Bank Street encourages children to be curious, learning through hands-on activity, where in Montessori, it is always told that children should learn best when speaking, writing, reading, or through visual aids. So, what do scientists mean by the material which I'm displaying right now? What and see the difference between the thought and thinking of a scientist. Next slide. And about what children think of these material. For children, these are clothes, cement, brick. Then they will see some kind of instrument. They are seeing the crayons, they're seeing the wood, and they're seeing movies and other things. But when we talk about to children about how these are developed, how it is used, what is good, what is bad, then their curiosity actually grows. It doesn't end up there. So when we talk about the students, they know that the natural world includes earth material. They know the students expected to observe, describe, compare. Next slide. And sort rocks by size, shape, color, and texture. When we go to Bank Street policies, they have specific books wherein they talk about only rocks. They have books, they talk about shapes, colors, texture. So we need to somehow, I don't want that our community should deviate, but I want our community to know about the another policy to teach children, that is through Bank Street. They, in their K7B column, they always say that the children should observe and describe physical properties of natural resources of water, including color and clarity. But what we make children do is we don't make them play, we make them color. We don't not talk to them about what is behind the scene, like what is how water is formed, what is the use of water, and then we have to tell them all about water, how it is procured, what is good for them and what is not good for them. We have to give them examples of when a kid is studying in our schools, in say in the classes 2 or 3, they learn about various other things. But basically, in junior classes, the concept is little bit different than what we see in Kennedy Center concept of teaching and in other teaching. It all ties up with instructional models in Bank Street. It is all talking about discovery, which means engage and explore, discourse, which means explain, and depth is to elaborate, extend, and evaluate. So the biggest challenge before a teacher is how to teach science lesson is what my discussion is today. If these teaching learning activities are effective, students can reach the goals of life by acquisition of knowledge, skills, and values in science. And here, if we have to tell them what is science, science is not simply a collection of facts. We all know science is everywhere, but what it is, science is not a collection of, not simply a collection of facts. It is a discipline of thing about rational solutions to problems after establishing the basic facts derived from observations. So observation is the main thing which when children start doing in the young age, that is very impactful, helpful, and it is the hypothesis from what is known to what might be and attempting to test. So we need to come together and start basic science lessons in pre-primary level so that these children, they will learn about everything relate from natural resources to acquired resources and how things are things change, and thus we actually increase their knowledge and then their concepts, the facts, principles, laws, and theories. So curiosity, objectivity, honesty, openness, perseverance, and withholding judgment is what they will know. If we start making children at a very young age to understand and write about its effect, then I think they will learn from younger age how to make a case study, how to do research, and how to react. So scientific attitude has to be inculcated at a very, very young age from our point of view. And If it is done, scientific attitudes will refer to the general predistribution that characterize the work of the scientist. So basically, our work is that we should make sure that our children learn when they are young. Simply exposing preschool age children to information and knowledge is of little use unless they experiment, understand how to apply those theories. That's because once they're in higher learning environments, it'll be the practical application of those theories that will serve them well. We are really sad that till now in our Indian schools, students of classes 6, 7th, 8th, they never get the opportunity even to go to the school labs wherein when affiliation is given, there is an inspection and a proper lab is required in each and every school. But we come to know even in 9th and 10th standard, only because there is a compulsion of knowing certain practicals for a exam. On practical, the kids get the opportunity to just go and visit a lab. So my actual appeal is that we have to expose our preschool age children to information knowledge, and we have to make sure that they experiment things and apply those theories, because once they are in high learning environment, they will feel very comfortable to act and accept it. Now, in this connection, there are some exciting and safe science experiments I'd wanted to share. I know my time was very limited, so I just simply had come up with a small, you can say, experiment like rainbow magic milk, a colorful mesmerizing experiment with children that can that if some kind of chemical is introduced, they will come to know about so many things, like if we have put milk in a small shallow dish and we put colors there and this soap and cotton swabs, these are the material we need. We pour milk into the dish, add drops of different food colors, dip a cotton swab in dishwater, then touch the milk surface, watch the colors swirl and dance. So this is dancing colors. They will know. There's another experiment. I'd wanted to add 5 to 6 of them, but I've just come up with 2 experiments for these children. Is GUI oblique. This is a hands-on experiment to explore a properties of non-Newtonian fluids. So we don't need much thing. They are not harmful for children. So we can have a cornstarch, water, food coloring, which is optional. Mix the cornstarch and water in a bowl until you get a gooey consistency. Add food coloring if desired. Let your child squeeze, poke, and play with it out of black to discover its unique texture. So these are the things basically we talk about. We know science is everywhere. In everyday's life observation, it's seen that science is there. It's looking at things. So, but how when science observations are used to generate further explanation theories about observed phenomena, they require skill associated with collecting and interpreting data and are influenced by observers' assumptions and domain knowledge. That is what scientists like Hari and Athe has said. That's what I have quoted as his reference. So when we talk about science, we have to cultivate curiosity. Preschoolers are naturally curious, we know, and experiments tap into this innate curiosity, encouraging them to ask questions and seek answers. So for that, we wish to have early exposure to science when they are too small, young, intelligent, and proactive. Early exposure to science is like introducing science to experiments at a very young age, sets the stage for later scientific exploration. It helps remove the fear of science and nurtures a positive attitudes toward it. In addition to that, we need to have skill development. Science experiment enhance motor skills, as children manipulate objects, cognitive skills as they make prediction, and social skills as they collaborate with their peers. And in fact, it empowers also. The empowerment is successfully conducting an experiment, boost a child's self-esteem. When they do these kind of experiment, it's automatically boosts their self-esteem and it teaches them that they can explore discover, and learn independently. So, like scientists say, science starts from home. Encourage your students to discover science at home from elementary classes itself. Ask them to find out a specific science concept, application at home as assignment, and let them discover science on the go. There are fun science activities at home that involves parents and kids, such as measuring Earth's circumferences with a shadow, creating underwater firework with chemistry, building a balloon powered by a car, and lot more. Right now, we all know that there is parent partnership programs going on in schools, and according to the new HPC for Bal Vatika 1, 2, 3, class 1 and 2, there are so many things a child is supposed to do with parent partnership. There are students, they have to prepare portfolios with various activities they have to do. And we have been training teachers to do work according to the topics, content, or competencies. So if these kind of things are starting in junior classes, basically kids are able to prepare their own portfolio with various different kind of work other than the regular work. So a discrete event is one that causes an unexpected contradiction in students' prior knowledge and experience of a scientific event in support of conceptual understanding is very much required. We know if we want to teach students science, it should be a fish bone tool which we can use it, and I would ask everyone to go and search in net. They will find it that if we use fishbone style, that actually enhances and increases the critical thinking of the children's. Science scientists test about rules and observe and explore carefully, take care of tools, return uh, things when you are finished, share what you have learned, and that's what we talk about in the Science Center. And with this, I would like to end up by saying a small poem that when you see me combing the bushes for bugs or packing my packets with choice, things I find, don't pass it off as just play, for you see, I am learning as I play. I may be a scientist someday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mayuri. Very lovely presentation. The importance of science in day-to-day life, even when we are breathing, it's all about, science, STEAM, the education that we are trying to inculcate in children from the early childhood years. The basics of inquiry, exploration, and trying to understand what is happening in the environment around them. Very well said, very well presented, and I think it gives a lot of ideas to our educators who are watching us today to incorporate or inculcate the spirit of inquiry into children. So, moving on to our next speaker. Today we have with us Ms. Sona Gombar. She's joined us from Delhi. And Ms. Sona is the principal of Salman Montessori School, Gurugram. And today she would be speaking on a very, very pertinent topic in this digital era, which is low attention span. So your 10 minutes starts now. Ms. Sona, over to you.
Yeah, a very good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Vasfi, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the sphere of influence. And I think it's a wonderful platform to share the best practices and exchange ideas for the cause of education. So as I'm going to start to speak about the low attention span. So I feel it is no secret in today's time that the children, they have shorter attention span than they used to have earlier. And especially in today's time where children, they face a never ending baggage of distraction from their smartphones, tablets, computer screens, and other electronic gadgets. So the attention span, they are getting shorter, and the concentration level is going low, and they rarely experience the sustained states of concentration, I would say here. And this is all due to their addiction of technology, societal pressures, and the overwhelming amount of information that is available to them at a click of a button, I would say here. So the low attention span, I'll just share my PPT. Just give me a second here. I hope I can do that.
Yes.
I hope it is visible. Yeah. So this is the topic that I'm going to talk about, managing students with low span of attention here. And as I was saying that it can really affect child's academic performance, social interaction, and overall well-being. Low attention span can also lead to poor grades, lower self-esteem, and strained relationship here in a world where distractions are everywhere. However, the neuroscientists they tell us that the average attention span will get longer as kids get older. Now, how long is a student's attention span here? So this is a formula. The average length of a child's attention can be calculated by the simple formula that shows that is age into 2 to 5 minutes is equals to average attention span. 2 to 5 minutes means this varies from the age. This table shows us, suppose a child is 4 years of age, so his attention span would be 8 to 10 minutes. So accordingly, it is given age-wise. So this is how the attention span is defined here. And now, why do students not pay attention in class, and what can we do about it as educators? Teachers normally they have been struggling here to get some students to concentrate and focus in the classroom. And the growing amount of research also says that the level of concentration is decreasing significantly. So should we just give up on this, that the students cannot improve in our classroom as per their, as far as their attention span is concerned? I hope as educators, we definitely say no to it. So it's important to know, why is students' concentration important? Here we see few pointers on screen. So I'll just take it one by one and I'll shortly tell that why is students' concentration important. The first one is absorb information here. As teachers, we always want our students to pay attention in class so that they can soak up whatever information we are sprinkling on them. So it is essential for effective learning and retention of information. Academic performance, again, students who can concentrate, they are well to perform better on their exams, assignments, and other academic tasks. Productivity and information processing here is when students they focus, so they can complete their task more efficiently and with high quality. Time management, again, the concentration allows students to manage their time and effectively. They can stay on task, avoid distractions, and make the most of their class time. So then is problem solving here. Problem solving, again, is concentration is essential for critical thinking and problem solving skills here. And stress reduction, if I talk about concentration, can help reduce stress and anxiety when students they are focused on their work. They are less likely to feel overwhelmed or stressed, because this is also one of the cause when we hear so much in this education sector that the students they feel anxious, they are not able to perform, their grades are going down. So maybe there is some kind of stress they feel because the information is getting piled up, the doubts are there in their minds and they're not getting resolved. So next is engagement and participation here, which is again the students are more likely to actively engage in class discussions. They can ask questions and they can participate in group activities. Self-discipline, again, is developing good concentration. It requires self-discipline. You need to discipline yourself and the ability to control one's impulses and avoid distractions, all kind of distractions if I talk about. Then there it definitely it leads to long-term success. Concentration is a valuable skill that extends beyond education, and it is one of the critical component of success in many aspects of life. So as stakeholders, be it teachers, parents, and students, we need to take certain steps to improve concentration by creating a conducive learning environment. Now, these are the signs for low attention span here. So children who are constantly exposed to digital media, they, of course, this can be attributed, I would say, because of their constant exposure to the digital media. Their attention spans, they decline because of the way information is delivered to them today. As Dr. Mayuri has also talked about, that there's so much of information that is available to them, unless and until they don't apply that information. So it doesn't make sense to them. So they need to experiment and apply that information. Then skimming is like children, they are in the habit, they tend to scan rather than read carefully, because of which their learning gets adversely affected by this trend. So that's how they struggle to comprehend complicated tasks here, or they can't engage in critical thinking task here. Then again, these kind of signs, they shift from uncompleted task to another task. They are not able to complete one task and they jump to another. Then they lose or they misplace their books or materials for completing the task. They are not paying attention to details. They do not seem to listen, and they make mistakes very frequently. They get bored easily. They feel difficulty in organizing their task. And this difficulty distinguishing again between the relevant or the irrelevant task, they face this also. And due to lack of organization skills, they are inattentive and unfocused. Now, helping the unfocused mind, teaching strategies for students here for maintaining intention with difficulty getting and maintaining attention here. So managing students with a low span of attention here can be a challenge, but it's important to provide them an environment and teaching strategies that cater to their needs. So here you will see a few strategies showing on the screen, then how to deal with short attention span here. So as educators, first thing that we can do is we can break down the task, breaking a longer task into several smaller tasks. It helps children with low attention span. Children, they should be given ample alerts. When one activity is about to change, make sure that the students, they know how long they have to work on this particular task. For example, you can just say that you have 5 more minutes of work time left, or in 5 more minutes, we'll move to so and so page numbers. So it's important for the teacher to use very clear and very concise and direct language for comprehension checks, and highlight, she can also highlight important information here. Then focus on a single task at a time. Before children, they begin to work on a task, so we can list the steps for completing it. Rather than just giving the task, we can list the steps how we can complete that task, including a time estimate, both for each step and for the whole task. So here I would like to add that a research also says that half of the kids 8 to 18, they are simultaneously they watching TV shows or they're surfing the web while they're doing their homework here. So it is also estimated that 9.4% of American kids, they have diagnosed with the attention related disorders, to concentrate in the classroom, from anxiety to depression to autism. So next one is build structured routines. So due to lack of organization, due to lack of organizing skills I here, and inattentive and unfocused students, they need help. They need help in structuring their school day, how to organize, how to complete tasks, including all those materials, workspace, group, furniture, etc. So teacher has to plan that day with them. Then is combine learning with physical activities. So every hour, we need to build a 1 minute stretch break to give children opportunity to stand up and move around in the classroom, to reset and refocus. So re-engaging their brains through physical activity or puzzles, actually it is very helpful. So that they have sufficient time for relaxation away from the screens, engage them in some kind of physical activity which they really enjoy doing that. Here also we can add reading or listening to music can also be a great help here. Then boost brain with power games. Use methods like storytelling, hands-on experiences, and group work to actually keep them engaged in whatever they are learning. Avoid information overload, because again, here the brain works, how the brain works, that is important, that is essential. So a teacher can also randomly call out the names while she is taking a task or while she's explaining something, so that they respond, and this is how we can grab their attention. Again, then last one is providing healthy and nutritious meals. A well balanced meal it can influence their mood and their emotional well-being. So mood swings and feeling frustrated at times can be little distracting when the child doesn't know what he is doing or what the teacher is explaining. Suppose he is not able to grab anything, any information here. So this nutritious diet can also impact concentration by improving that sleep quality. That's new. Wow, focus is fun. So this is the kind of feeling which a child gets if he is able to focus on everything which the teacher is doing. So these are few special measures for inattentive students. The first one is special minds. Teachers can use individual interventions here, and these individual interventions help in actually concentrating on the task given. Again, rapport is making a personal connect with the child by having one-on-one interaction. So a teacher can take the child out if she wants to actually tell the child something or convey the child something or clear the doubts. So this really works well. Then is the behavior plan. So prepare a behavior plan to reward the students all the way, even for the minimal responses. Suppose you can give one stick on for just introducing the task, then three stick-ons for can be given for getting into the task, then maybe four stick-ons can be given to for completing the task. So this kind of pattern where you are giving eight stick-ons to the child, it really helps the child to focus more. Then identifying strengths, prepare a list of strengths including everything positive and unique about the child. We know that all children are unique, they have their own strengths, they have their own potential. So how to tap that? Others are self-monitoring strategy here, and then is teaching the child how to remain on task, and then training the child how to check his own work and focus on the task. Study buddy is again making the child sit with some inattentive student who can really help the child and can be a good role model. And behavior contract, again develop a behavior contract between you and the student. So that's a kind of again I would say this kind of contract also helps to the child to pay more attention. Parents being the key stakeholders, we can get involved these parents for giving them a regular feedback and discussing strategies here, how the parents can also be involved in this educational process. So here, to conclude, I would say strong teachers, they don't teach content. Google has so much of content. Strong teaching connects, learning in ways to inspire kids to learn more and strive for greatness. Thank you so much. I hope I could stick to the time.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much, Ms. Sona, and a lovely presentation because it talked about not only the reasons why we are, we kind of the whole uh, the teenagers or the even the young ones, we are kind of we can see that children are not really having proper attention, focus, and concentration like we used to have when we were younger. And things have changed. The lifestyle has changed. Like you talked about food and nutrition. There are a lot of things that are affecting the phone, the screen time, also the radiation maybe that we are getting, that the mother is getting when she's carrying the child, and a lot of other things, that is playing in the environment. But at the same time, the strategies, how can we increase? Now, when we have a problem, we need the solution to the problem or the ways in which we can tackle it. So it's very beautifully explained and what you can do in the classroom as teachers, and how you can, try to develop and bring more attention and focus. We also talk a lot about mindfulness activities where, children from early on start being more mindful about their present, and that is about concentration and focus. And sometimes I personally feel that chess also plays a lot of important role because it helps in problem solving and things. So we are introducing chess in our schools as well from
That's
early on, just to understand, the and to be focused in one kind of a thing. So that increases with practice. So thank you so much for your lovely presentation and for the strategies. And we move on to our next speaker. We have with us Janavi Sharma. She is a member of ECDF and a psychologist, and she's from Guwahati. She is the consultant in SBOA public school in Guwahati. And today she will be talking about presenting on navigating parenting challenges in the digital age. So we are very organically moving from what Sona said about, low attention span, which is also kind of, related to the digital space to quite a lot of extent. And from here on, Janavi would be speaking more on that. So how now we are looking at the parent perspective, how we and what we as parents can do about it. Over to you, Jan. Your 10 minutes starts now.
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, it's pleasure to be here today to discuss on such topics and specifically on parenting. And thank you, Vasabi ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to speak on the sphere of influence. Uh, so as we are talking about everything changing, right? The lifestyle change, children changing in their developmental years. I believe parenting also has changed, or rather needs to be changed, because today the topic that I will be speaking here, which is the parenting in the digital era, requires a lot of insight, and I personally will be speaking from my observations and experiences at work. So as we have seen with the rise of technology and social media and internet, as we have been speaking till now, our parenting responsibilities, or we as educators, our responsibilities have also been changing, from beyond extended beyond providing our children with the physical and emotional needs. So now the parents are should be tasked with helping them to navigate a complex and ever changing digital era, full of both opportunities and risk. Talking about change, we as when we are called the generation, millennials or the baby boomers, our generation was different. Now this Gen Z and the alpha generation have been brought up in a very digitalized era and a society where things are fluctuating, and they have been exposed to social media, exposed to internet, exposed to many of the online platforms at a very early age. So now basically I would uh, take you through the challenges, plus what we can do as educators, psychologists, and as the entire school fraternity, the education fraternity. The question here lies that how we as parents embrace this advancement of technology while we are safeguarding or trying to keep up with our children, and protecting them from these dangers, and trying to build communication with them, so that we can be more focused on, or we are aware of their developments and their growth. So here, talking about the challenge, the first thing is the digital landscape that all the dignitaries have been speaking about, that they have been growing up in this vastly different world where which we have not experienced as kids. The internet, the smartphone has become an integral part. It has become a need for them, where we at our times we used to think that okay, this is a part of our leisure time and we'll use the social media whenever we want a break or something like that. But I feel that in today's generation, the social media or the smartphone has become a need, an integral part. Actually, many of the studies which I have come across, or which I have rather gone through, it has showed that teenagers, or rather nowadays even children, spend average max 5 or 6 or 7 hours being online playing, whether it can be playing video games or anything. So their communication has been stopped, where we used to be with our friends, be with our relatives, be with our society. So the stimulation part, the social engagement part has become very less, due to which they are not being able to communicate, they have communicated less, and they are not open to conversations. So while these digital tools offer opportunities for them, but also we need to see the risk that come, because the information is available nowadays there. So they can is it's very easy access for them to go through and understand, without understanding, to see the things that come, that they get on the phone. And one of the major challenge I feel for parents is to striking a balance, because now I feel the role of parents is more than providing the basic needs. It should be the role of being educators themselves in this particular society at this point of time. So and also, rightly said, striking a balance between the technology as well as protecting them, and also providing them the benefits that they need to be getting from the internet or from the online platform. So now let's explore the challenges, as rightly said by Sona Gombar ma'am, about the screen time, because of which the attention span has become very much low. So managing screen time becomes the major things that we as educators or parents that need to keep in mind. Social media platforms also needs to be monitored very much, because the amount or the kind of content they watch online is very much important, and which affects and influences them in many ways. Then being dependent on technology is also one of the key things to be kept in mind while talking about the challenges. Now, here another thing comes to mind is the strategies for parents to overcome these challenges. Uh, as nowadays the parents are also busy with their own work, busy building their own careers, it's very important for parents at this point of time to have open communication, give them time to have proper communication, not as parents, but I feel that by being with them, by trying to provide an environment, emotionally being there, talking about the pros, the cons, or even sharing their experiences of their times when they were child, or they were at their children's age, and asking them questions but without keeping any judgment, because at many times they fail to provide them with the basic needs, because they feel that they'll be judged or they'll encounter something uncomfortable or inappropriate from the parents side. Next is clear boundaries should be kept and maintained. For example, there should be some rules at home, that no screen time, or no screen time, the limited screen time, or no screen uses after this period of time or at this point of time. So these rules should be followed. Not only as I always say, that children are always very good observers, and they learn through observation, modeling behaviors. So it is very important for parents themselves to role model or to showcase that kind of behavior. No, it's similar like practice what you preach. So you should also practice as parents those kind of behaviors that you expect from your child as well. So these boundaries needs to be maintained at home. And yes, leading by example, I have already mentioned that you need to model and provide your children with that kind of examples by setting examples for them. If you see that you yourself are constantly using a phone, then your child will definitely follow the same thing, or rather question you, or rather question us as educators or as parents, that why this. So we have to make sure that while we are telling them what to do, what not to do, first is we need to mention that why, the reason behind them, and second thing, we should be very mindful as parents or educators that we ourselves are not showing them or highlighting them those kind of scenarios. We should now always encourage them for offline activities, rather games or sports or any kind of activities, reading, that keeps them away from the phone. uh, and we should also, as parents, take responsibility. I rather suggest that take responsibility as parents, as educators, because now as I've already said, that parents need to be playing the role of educators, that they also take responsibility and should try new ways of parenting. uh, because nowadays this parenting has become a task, and it's a very new learning experience for all of them. Because as I have said, that the children have been changing, the generation have been changed, there's a gap. So we need to try as educators, as psychologists, as coach, we need to try a lot of different ways, do a lot of research and R&Ds to see new techniques and new developments in the way of ourselves dealing with the child. And of course we need to create and foster a safe and supportive environment for them, so that they can report anything, so that if something happens at school, something happened at at play at home, they are able to come and report to you as parents, and for finding a safe space within yourself, uh, without fear of judgment, without fear of being or getting punished. So so I feel that from my experience I have seen that, or from my observations, that many a times the parents themselves are not that aware. of certain things that the child does or that the child is doing at school, at home. So it's very important for parents to sit with the child at least for half an hour. At least for half an hour, I always suggest, or rather insist from my side, at least sit for half an hour, so that we know that what is going on with the child, or what are the new developments within the child, something that might be of concern, where we can then and there at point see to it, look into it, or rather manage it. So, in conclusion, I would want to say that in this digital era, there are a lot of challenges, and it is today. This is not just a topic that I have said, but it's just I have highlighted this concern, so that we all come up with something, or we all come up with things, and management techniques to help parents deal with these children, or parents communicate well with their children, so that it becomes easy, or it becomes easy for us, or also it helps us to deal with them much more properly, and monitor them, their behavior. So, and let's not forget that we don't have to be perfect in managing these challenges. So no, nothing should be taken at your own part, that it's a failure on your part, be as an educator, or as a coach, or as a psychologist. So I think brainstorming and trying new things, trying new activities, because as ma'am said that they get bored of these things, because today's generation has been exposed to things very prior ahead of their time. So coming up with new things and doing R&D, I think will make parenting easier, although it's a challenge, but nothing stops us from trying, and trying to manage the children, and probably getting success out of it. So that's all I wanted to say. Hope I could stick to the time, and I could at least highlight the importance of parenting at this digital age. And yes, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Janvi. A very important topic, and how to deal with this digital era, because we can't do away with it. Yet at the same time, we need to know how to balance between the screen time, balance between actual physical activity and other activities that the child needs to be involved in, be it life skill development, be it any other. So it's really a challenge. It is not, it's easier said than done, and the challenge looks easier, but for parent, it is something that has really, they find it very difficult to deal with, because we were not raised in a digital era, and we were very hands on, and always playing out in the field, doing whatever, and coming back getting tired. Nowadays the children's energy gets, it just stays, because they are trapped in the very small screen. So thank you for the strategies. Thank you for navigating through this topic very eloquently. And we move on to our next speaker. We have with us Ms. Gagandeep Kaur, and she has been an educationist for the past 18 years, and she began her career from a play school and is currently the head of the pre-primary wing at a prominent school. And today, Gagandeep would be talking about toy-based pedagogy. Over to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. First and foremost, I would want to express my gratitude to you, Dr. Vasvi, that for giving, I think, each one of us to the opportunity to come here and share the knowledge that we have, maybe little contributing in some way to the lives of others. So secondly, I think I'm truly feeling very empowered since morning, because I could listen to so many eminent speakers, and I can actually feel that I'm very empowered, and I'm deeply thankful to all of them. So moving forward, again, I'll say that today I'll be speaking about toy-based pedagogy. Sure. Can everyone see my screen? Yeah, thank you. So again, going quickly to this, that first of all, we need to understand that what are educational toys. So I think an educational toy is any toy that provides a child with an opportunity to learn. It actually effectively stimulates learning, and it can help develop a particular skill to teach about any particular thing. It is most importantly, it provides fun. So again, it's an educational approach that uses toy as primary tool to enhance learning and development of the children. So there are certainly many benefits if I talk about that, how it works, that if I talk about the benefits, then it helps in the skills like attention, memory, visual processing, auditory processing. It also helps develop emotional skills like self-awareness and self-management and relationship skills. How it works is that how teachers are using the toys at a particular age selected to help them learn and practice those toys in the classroom. There's a lot of co-curricular and subjects related, like inclusion also. So they can be used to teach a variety of subjects, including math, science, social studies, and language. For example, if I may give an example, a wooden cart can be used to teach physics and geography also. It's completely aligned with NEP 2020. It has to be completely age appropriate. Students in grades 1 and 2, 1 to 6 can benefit the most from toy-based pedagogy, and of course the foundational stage as well. So, so how it started, like in the past, the educational toys were very simple and traditional without any technological features. So over the time, I think toys evolved to focus on specific learning objectives, like learning has improved in reading and math skills. So modern toys are now definitely have incorporate integrative, interactive technology, allowing them to adopt learning styles and enhance education in a more personalized way. So why toys should be used as alternative medium of learning for the 21st century skills? So I think like toys should be used in alternative medium of learning in the 21st century because they offer an engaging and interactive way for children to develop critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity. And in the modern era, if I say modern educational toys, they are equipped with technology, cater to different learning styles, and more complex subjects are more accessible. By turning learning into play, toys help children absorb information more effectively, and they also develop a lifelong love for learning. Going to the key elements of toy-based teaching, so engagement through play. So if I give you an example, that engagement through play for building block, that teaches basic engineering concepts, while children are simply having fun, constructive things. And if I say that what they feel about this play, so they feel children are more likely to stay engaged and they retain information better because the experience is completely enjoyable and meaningful. If I talk about the motivation, so toys can increase motivation by turning lessons into interactive, hands-on experiences, and which help children learn a little more enthusiastic and they are little more involved. A tech-based toy, if I give an example, like a robot that teaches coding, which encourages students to take an active role in solving problems and achieving goals, making the learning process exciting and interactive. Imaginative play, I think if foundation years they're the best for the imaginative play. So for such as dollhouse or any action fingers, and explain how like kids can use toys to role play scenarios that enhance storytelling and social skills. So a simple exercise where participants think of a toy and describe it may be used in role playing or creative storytelling. In the art and craft, I think art and design. So show them a picture of craft kit or any art project, or explain them how these materials allow kids to explore different colors, patterns, and textures, which contributes to their cognitive development. For subject specific, if I talk about subject specific and cross-disciplinary approach, so again, it's subject specific. There are science kits that might involve certain experiments which are based on language-based toys could really support the literacy development. Cross-disciplinary approach, now if I imagine a toy that can teach one subject but multiple subjects at once. So how a single toy like building blocks can be used across different subjects. For example, if you use them to teach physics like gravity or balance, engineering, you can teach them design and construction, and even math, you can talk about counting or geometry. So interactive engagements are there. You can just see that how with one subject area, we can encourage them to how versatile educational toys can be. So this is the link for the beautiful, like document of 198 pages. You all must read this. I think it has benefited me and my wing a lot. There are certain benefits of toy-based pedagogy. So it engages completely, like active learning. So toys encourages, like hands-on interaction, making learning a dynamic experience. It also enhances creativity, whether the with blocks or role playing with dolls. I think children learn a lot with role play. So it also develop motor skills. So if I talk about fine motor skills, so if they are manipulating toys like puzzles, building sets, or craft kits, this helps in their fine motor skills, eye-hand coordination, and if when they're doing all this, they have the collaboration and social skills. So many toys encourage group play, teaching children how to cooperate, share, and communicate. So it also supports personalized learning. So certainly there are certain children, those who really want to have their own style of learning style. So it also enhances the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, and allow children to learn at their own pace. So it also bridges learning with fun. So by combining education with play, toy-based pedagogy also makes learning really enjoyable. It also stimulates emotional development. So through play, I have really seen a lot of examples. I have that with me, that children learn to handle their own emotions. They practice empathy and they understand different perspectives, which is essential for emotional and social growth. And if it encourages the lifelong learning by making learning little more fun and interactive, toy-based pedagogy fosters curiosity and a love for learning that extend beyond the classroom into lifelong education. So there are different types of toys. So there are few on the screen, if you can see: rattles, dolls, miniatures. So many we do in the role play a lot. So we have construction toys, like nowadays we have Legos. I mean, previously we never used to have Legos, but now children learn a lot from Lego sets. They have magnetic tiles. If I talk about STEM toys, that they have science kits, coding robots, circuit boards also. Puzzles are definitely very common, like jigsaw puzzles, 3D puzzles. Role playing toys that we have nowadays are dolls, action figures, play kitchen areas, and they have the doctor kits also. Art and craft toys, they have coloring sets nowadays. Clay modeling kits are there, craft supplies are there. Very interesting area, that is the musical toys, where they have toy pianos, xylophones, they have drums, and they really have to like they themselves, they go to that area and they develop auditory skills, rhythm, and there's an appreciation for music, while also boosting cognitive and memory abilities also. We also nowadays we have educational electronic toys, which talks about learning tablets, electronic storybooks, interactive games. Basically their focus is on developing literacy, numeracy, critical thinking through interactive and technology driven methods that adapt to a child's learning pace. There are certain guidelines that we all have to understand, that while choosing toys, safety, bright colors, age appropriate, definitely. So age appropriate is important, because you need to check from the manufacturers that there are certain age to ensure that it matches the child's development stage and interest. So educational values have to be there. There have to be safety standards, because we need to look for non-toxic materials, no sharp edges, and durable construction to avoid choking or any injury risk. Open-ended toys, again, opt for toys that can be used in multiple ways to foster creativity and imagination. It can also you need to also have to see it should promote social skills, like choose toys that encourage group play, helping children develop teamwork, communication, and empathy through collaboration. It should also stimulate problem solving. Look for toys that challenge children to think creatively and solve problems, such as puzzles, strategy games, and logic-based toys. Uh, Also, the durability and the quality, we must see that when we invest in high quality durable toys, that should last for little more time, reducing waste and ensuring safety. So sturdy toys are more likely to withstand rough play and extended use. And more very important aspect is cultural and gender sensitivity. So select toys that promote diversity and inclusivity, because you need to avoid reinforcing gender stereotype or cultural bias. Like for example, if I say offer a range of toys from dolls to construction set, to encourage various interests regardless of any talking about any gender based things. And consider the child's interest, which is the most important. So take into the account the child's current interests and passions to ensure the toy captures their attention and imagination. And how to promote the use of indigenous toys. I think it's very, very important, because we need to have different resource kits and create toy libraries, or maybe you can have a toy corner in the classes. So raise awareness to prepare students to explain the significance of different toys. And NEP has given a very set standards of like about toys, that how to use toys and what all you need to have. So let's we can have little more educational workshops and trainings for all our teachers. Curriculum integration is very important. Collaboration with indigenous communities like guest speakers. So also we have done, particularly in our school, that through toys only we have done a kind of regular observations and feedbacks that teachers they take, and they track the student that how their learning is happening through different discussions, reflections, and related activities. I think adapt and reflect. So adapt your approach based on what works best for your students, and reflect on how toy-based teaching impacts their learning. So at the end, I can say that toys are children's world, I think, and play is their language. So thank you so much, and I hope that I was within the time limit.
Thank you so much, Gagandeep. And it was a wonderful presentation on toy-based pedagogy, because toys actually play a whole thing, a role in child's life. And you very beautifully explained step by step the different ways in which a toy can benefit a child, from role play that can help in emotional self-regulation, and so many other things, where the child feels emotions. And it's very important that the school engage children in toys, and so does the parent, because many of and we have the toy libraries now coming up. So it's really beneficial, because these toy libraries again do research on the kind of toy that needs to go to a child, and what is the age specific, and what is the outcome of those toys. If the child plays with that toy, what is going to be the outcome? So yeah, really, this is an interesting topic, and it's picking up in India. And yeah, so we move on to thank you so much once again. And we move on to our next speaker of the day. She is Rizky Amelia, and she's the principal of the Smart Oladi School in Cirebon, Indonesia. I'm so glad that she joined today, because I had been to Rizky School in Cirebon in May with our team of ECDF members who had visited Jakarta and Cirebon for our education tour and conference this year. And we could see some really innovative stuff happening in her school, where there's a lot of work going on in terms of waste management, the 3 Rs. And I was really impressed. And I got back and I told all my schools also to really, buck up and use what can be recycled and reused, so that we do not create waste. And that is very inspiring. And today she would be talking about the conceptual play world. So over to you, Risky.
Thank you.
I think there's a slight problem with the audio. What you could do is take off your headphones, if that is possible. No, you're not audible. You can just take off your headphones and use
Am I audible now?
Yeah, good.
Good.
All good.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, I choose this topic because I'm one of the awardee from Monash University. Like Ms. Kaur, also I will talk about play pedagogy, but focusing in conceptual play word. And this is a new kind of play concept, yeah, that introduced by Marilyn Fleer from Australia. And what do you know about play word? This is something to do about children's play. This is an approach for children's play, a scientific model for play and pedagogy, a creative pedagogy between adult and children, and also an aesthetic and creative common play between adult and children. So play word is not only about children, but also adults around the children. And let's see next. This is playword in like Lynn Fisk said in 2003. It's a pedagogy where adults and children share a common playword. To develop a play, we have to find a theme that children are interested and fascinated with. So I began to have a polling with the children's, and the children can choose the book because playword is based on the story, so they can choose their favorite book in the class, and we find the story that have a dramatic way, because we have to trace the conflict in the situation in the story for children to tell and relate also to their surrounding in dramatic way. Each child can create their own meaning and context to develop their play action. An adult need to dramatize action and create dialogue to provide meaning. It's okay when there is ambiguity because it's important. We can have this different perspective at different point of time, and also the story multi-layer as well as sophisticated children's literature as well as simple text. And adults also are important as they share children's play. When adults dramatize the roles and action and invited the children into the play world. So this is the importance of adult roles in playword. Playword literature, the adult has a central role, and children are supported by the play role of the teachers to imagine the fiction and the problem scenario as the play narrative develop. In this way, children imagine in play and imagine the concept that are supporting their play. This relation is captured as learning curriculum concept in service of children's play through a conceptual framework. And this is the 5 characteristic of a conceptual playword by Maren Fleer. And I will straight to the step 1, that you have to select the story. Like I said, when I did it in my classroom, I tell the students to have a polling about what story that we will have to play in conceptual playword. The characteristic of the story should have a plot, that a complex plot, because selecting this story is quite complex. It means that you should have a plot that more engage for the children and for you as the educator. And also we should also consider the characters. We have a lot of students in our classroom, so when we want to play playword, the story has to have a lot of characters in it. We can think about the kind of characters that are in there. You need a lot of characters for your students. But also you can develop any characters that happen in the story, like additional characters, such as the cousin who live in another country, or visitor who want to join the playword. And also don't forget to have a dramatic plot in the story, because the dramatic dimension is exciting and it can lend itself to a problem situation that has to be solved by the children and develop over the time. And also you have to enjoy the story, because we have to play it. We want to play it in a fun way. So you have to enjoy the story first. And then next, sorry. Step 2, designing spaces. Use your spaces in different and creative way. This is you can see this is my school at Sherborne. I designed the spaces like you can have a many stimulation that children have in your spaces. The second part of our toolkits is design our spaces. You might decide to use obstacle course to take class, and also to take a particular space, a spatial tree or a chair, for example. And you could use also a trestle and beams to create a pathway to your playward. Inside the playward, and we can think about what we can change because it should relate to the story. So design your space. It's really important to make the children imagine that they are really into the playword. A corner or block corner can be transformed into a particular playword. The blocks are in the surface of playword. They can support the construction of a new building or a new bridge that takes you to some interesting place. I've also once played with the children, and the children should face their obstacle, and they have to make a bridge from the block to go for to pass their obstacle. And the step 3 is you have to decide when you enter and exit the playword. Stepping out the teacher's role, you can create a dialogue between adult and children, and this dialogue by the characters by the adult dramatized instead of teacher's pedagogical role. You can also use a wand, a magical wand, to sign to enter the playword and exit the playword. When I train the magical wand, and we all go to the playword. And also we can design like a tunnel that children can go there through the tunnel and entering the playword there. And then the next steps after you decide when you want to enter the playword, you have to plan your problem to be solved. What is the problem or an inquiry that arises in your playword? You might have a complex new character who arrive in a special little surprise box, perhaps a little ring-tailed person with a special message to give to the children. It is something that is introduced, a message to be solved. It's like you can also plan the STEM problem. Like here, like I said before, the children are forming the bridge from the block here to pass the obstacle. And here also I use the chair to be pretend as vehicle for the children. And then next, the last step is choose role will you as the teacher take in the playword. Think about the way you interact as an educator in the playword. You can take on a role that is equal to children's because you are play partner in this process. As a teacher, as an educator, you have also enjoy and play your role in playword. You can take a role where you are with the children trying to solve the problem, or you are leading a role guiding the children through the process. This also allows you to help the children to solve problem and deepen their play. So the plot can grow as the play begins. And here are the 5 characteristics of a conceptual playword. Don't forget to select the story that has a lot of dramatic plot, and a lot of characters. Designing the spaces, use space in creative way, opportunity to explore concept, represent children's ideas, and use different modes for children's understanding. Also entering, define the time when you enter and exiting the playword. Stepping out your teacher's roles, and teacher is a character, adult and children create a play together. You can use your magic wand, wear a costume or anything. And step 4, planning the play inquiry. or problem to solve. It can be STEM, and this is dramatic and engaging concept in surface of play and inquiry narrative develop. And plan the teacher's role and teacher's interaction. When you into the play world, when you out from the play world, and who you are in the play world. I think that's enough from me, Vesavi, because it's already the end of the slide. And then I think I hope that it can give insightful activity for all of you to try in your school. Thank you.
Thank you, Rizky. I know how innovative your activities are, and we have seen it with our own eyes. And I could imagine the play activities that you are, that you've talked about, that you're already implementing in your school, and sharing with us would indeed help a lot in kind of introducing those in our centers as well. And the share of knowledge, the sharing of knowledge is very important, and the best practices, because this helps to bring up a global fraternity of aware educators who can use their potential to bring the best out of children in every way. Thank you, Rizky. Thank you for being a part of this forum and joining us from all the way from Indonesia. And now we move on to our next speaker. She is Dr. Vidhu Bhatnagar. Dr. Vidhu is a professor and HOD of the Department of Anesthesiology and Critical Care in the INHS Azvini. She's a life coach and an author by passion. So Dr. Vidhu will be talking about gender neutral parenting, a very important topic, I should say, raising emotionally intelligent children. Over to you, Dr. Vidhu.
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yeah.
I start sharing. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really grateful for this thing. Actually, everybody must be wondering, I'm not into pedagogy at all. I'm into andragogy. But yes, is my is my slide seen? Thank you. So I'm going to talk about gender neutral parenting, and let's hope I'm able to make out in the next 10 minutes. So I am a motivational speaker. I am a teacher. I'm like a professor, like you already said. So I'm into andragogy. I'm not at all into pedagogy. I am an anesthesiologist. I'm like in Hindi, what we call it as a behoshi ka doctor. And most of all, I'm a mother. I'm a mother of 2 children. I am not as thin as this one who's been depicted, and my children are not as young as has been shown. They're like now grown-up teenagers. So let me tell you a little story about myself. There was a time when I was, growing in my career. I was a young mother. My children were young. I was trying to do everything all alone. I was trying to manage the parenting. I was trying to manage my hospital, my veggie shopping, my patients, children education, everything all alone. So what I want to say is just think of the word alone, please. And then I realized, okay, I can't be the super mom. So I started delegating work. I delegated to nannies, to cooks, to housekeepers, to household helps. Again, my work, just see that word, my word, okay? But how did this thing come to me? When my daughter was, this is around 2013, my daughter was 4 years old, and on one of our worksheets, so this was what was written: who cooks for you? The answer was my mother. Who goes to work? Answer was my father. Who reads stories to you at night? Answer was my mother. Who takes you to the market? My father. So at that point of time, I realized at such a young age, she's been subjected, 4-year-old child has been subjected to gender discrimination in school. And she was going to a high upmarket school, CBSE board. And that's what made me think that why did I, if I have to go back, why did I think this entire work was my all alone? I only had to manage entire thing, parenting, homekeeping, housekeeping, everything. Why? Because, because of the societal conditioning, I also has been conditioned that this entire work is mine. And why? Because at an early age, I was subjected to, and I'm sure most of us were subjected to, this gender discrimination in the education and as well as at home. So I've written about these in my book. These are my books. You can read them or Google them up. So what I want to say is, then I did a literature search. I was like really interested in, can I bring up my children in a gender neutral state, and not bringing this gender discrimination about the colors, about the life skills. And I saw in most of the NCERT, SCRT books, yes, women were illustrated as somebody who's at home cooking, looking after children, generally who's like, and most of the times in the submissive role, and the males were shown more outgoing, sporty, and head of the family, things like that. This was a lovely blog which I went through, and it also talks about India is among the worst countries in the world on World Economic Forum's Gender Gap Index, ranking 129th in 2024. And according to the research, South Asia, and India in particular, is the worst region in English-speaking world for stereotypes and low representation of women and girls in school books. So they actually talk about that this research has been done, and books from South Asia have the strongest male bias in relation to language around achievement and work. So when males are shown in the books or in various worksheets, or even in maths and science books, they are shown as achievers, the leaders, whereas women are shown more submissive, and they're shown more around their appearance or about household chores. This is another thing which I got on the internet, a review of gender representation in primary school textbooks in India. And this is a lovely thing which has been actually a lovely review article, and it is talking about various national education policies. And to give you a little insight, one of the national education policy even made home science in 1981 or something as the subject which is absolutely important for women or girls. So this is one of the charts which I have taken from this review, in which if you see an artist, an astronaut, a sailor, a dentist, a farmer, a pilot, a postman, and a tailor, all of them have been represented as males, and their only female representation is a doctor or a teacher. So there was so much of skewed gender representation even in the books, and at a very early stage. This was another article which was published in Hindu, NCERT textbooks riddled with gender stereotypes. It was written by a 21-year-old French national and political science student, Anne Leclerc. And she says that men are shown involved in outdoor activities. In the textbooks, they are portrayed as the head of the family. Women are confined indoors, shown to adapt only to domestic chores. Primary caregivers, they're shown as thin, weak, and kind. And this was after analysis of 10 NCERT books, which included Hindi, mathematics, English, and environmental science. So this really piqued my interest, and I did a little more research. And to my knowledge, this is a very recent one, Gender Audit of SCRT books, that is State Council of Educational Research and Training. This was done in 2022. And I guess what I was thinking, people my age also started thinking the same way, that why is it that there's so much of gender discrimination when we are even, subjecting our young children to so much of it? And then there was an expert committee which was made. The objective of this entire audit was to have a committee which will review the books, various kind of books of various subjects, and then they will try and find out what is the gap and how to fill it, and then they'll give certain recommendations. So if I have to tell you, 53 textbooks were reviewed by this committee, which included textbooks from Punjabi, home science, environmental science, social science, mathematics, Hindi, and English. And out of these 53 books, they came up, many things they have shown in this in beautiful review and audit. There were illustrations which definitely showed, more gender bias when it was supposed to be physical activity, outgoingship, and when it came to household chores, it was more women which were represented. So the general observations with this, which they had told about, was that book covers were not gender sensitive. The contributors, it was very skewed. The male contributors were much higher as compared to women contributors. The content also was much biased in this language, in our illustrations. It was much more biased towards male domination, and in selection of males as heroes, as leaders and activists. Illustrations, like I've already shown you in the previous slide, were also much more gender stereotype. Many worksheets and exercises, like I just showed you about my daughter's worksheet, which actually made me thinking, was also very gender stereotyped. There was no gender inclusivity. The language used in text was, the pronouns and the nouns were much more gender dominant. And very surprisingly, the transgender were absolutely not identified in any textbook. They were not represented at all. So the committee gave a recommendation that book covers need to be more gender inclusive, contributors, that the ratio should not be so skewed, the content has to be more gender inclusive, more gender neutral, illustrations. People have to be very, very careful in what they're illustrating and showing these young children. The exercise, activities, worksheets need to be more gender inclusive. The language which is used has to be more gender inclusive, and wherever possible, presence and contribution of transgenders has to be included in the books. These were recommendations. However, let me tell you, these are still recommendations. The implementation is still not done. Maybe it's going to take lots and lots of policymakers, but the good thing is people are at least started thinking about it. So gender neutral language to be used, content selection has to be such that female should not be shown only doing household activities. The characterization, illustrations, activities, and facilitations have to be more gender inclusive. Now, another good thing that I thought about, let me research about what has government done about it. So National Education Policy in 2020, it set up a gender inclusive fund, especially for girls and transgender students coming from socio-economic disadvantaged groups. There was also Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalayas. It was seen that sometimes girl children are not able to attend schools because there are no proper toilets. So they talked about food, about midday meal, about uniforms, about toilets. So National Education Policy did create a gender inclusion fund. There were Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalayas, which were like residential Vidyalayas for girl children from coming from OBC, SC, ST, financially weaker socio-economic strata. It also proposed a gender neutral curriculum. Again, it is proposed, still not implemented as yet. Gender inclusive attitudes to eliminate gender discrimination. The textbooks need to be more gender sensitive, and there is a need for revision of the textbooks and learning material. And NEP did recognize that education, including textbooks, can contribute to formation of gender stereotypes in children, which is, I think, a very, very big step, because they at least recognized it. Now, once you've recognized, maybe people will start working towards it. But what I also want to say, because in 2013, I started thinking about it, I was much more, my children were very young that time. My younger one was 4 and my elder one was 7. So I started being more gender neutral, more informant about being a gender neutral or a gender inclusive parenting. And so I also want to urge to all the educators here who are parents, and I want to urge the educators that please do make policies where the books are revised and such content is, actually revised and more gender inclusivity is there. So let's not associate colors with children. Let children be children and enjoy every color they want. Let's not associate toys with children. Instead of a girl being shown always playing with a doll and boys always playing football, why not show both the genders playing with dolls and soft toys, and both the genders playing football. Let's not show this on our book covers. I have taken this from NCERT books. So these are the book covers which have been shown. And yes, they do show gender inequality and discrimination. If I sing this jingle, Hema, Rekha, Jaya, or Sushma, so what comes to your mind is Nirma, and these are all women. So, let's not associate women with only doing the household chores. Let's not associate mother and daughter cooking. Why not a father and daughter, or why not father and son, or why not husband and wife? So even in advertisement, there has to be a major change, but the major change will only come when me and you wake up, when we start creating these noises that yes, there has to be gender inclusivity. It's not, it has to be more. Yes, there are, I'm sure most of you must have seen this Rani and Rocky Ki love story, and that movie in which the men are doing this beautiful Kathak number. So, and the men are being taught how to make coffee on their own, where they're coming from such a societal conditioning where men never knew how to actually go into the kitchen. Not using words like men at work, using words like people at work. And, representing more of gender neutral advertisements and gender inclusive advertisements, where you see a man holding a baby and parenting, or a woman riding a motorbike. And then I also thought about reading what are other people doing. So there's this lovely thing which UNICEF has come about, gender responsive parenting, and it talks about, not to segregate genders when you're talking about little children. This is another book which I found, Conscious Gender Sensitive Parenting by Daniela Terzi. And I really urge all the educators who are into this, all of you are early educators. I really urge that why not something like this can we make in our own country and make it, it talks about modules, involvement of men in child rearing and education benefits and methods, conscious gender sensitive parenting, non-violent communication, extremely important, not only for men, but also for women. Non-violent communication, we do not know how to talk non-violently to our own children, so violence doesn't always mean to be physical. It can be violent, it can be verbal too. And why not make it more inclusive, where why all the time we show women with 10 hands and like Kali Mata with so many hands? So why not men who can also do the same thing, multitask and rear children? So I really want to end my talk with share the load, share the love, be more gender inclusive, stop enforcing stereotypes, and let's do it not only at our homes, but make a conscious effort that we are able to do it in the schools, maybe in near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vidhu. This is a topic generally it's so in our society, the gender discrimination, and generally people don't talk about it. We are talking so much about early childhood education, about making our children aware of this, that, enabling them to explore. But at the crux of it all, we see that the woman population is basically in a huge number. They are backward, or they are not as advanced as the male counterpart. And that actually was my topic for my TEDx talk, which I did last year. And it was about breaking that gender stereotype. And I think the early years are the best years to start it because, like you said, from experiences, even I have seen when I work or I'm in the school with children, and we have, these teaching aids, which is like a rolling pin. And usually the girl feels that it is her job to roll the pin because we do that as part of our fine motor development. But again, it is, all the small things that really reflect the gender bias prevalent in our society. And even till date, I mean, we are educators, but we kind of juggle a lot as women, as a lady. And I feel that, yes, we need to do away with it and kind of divide our work or the society or the pay wages, XYZ, the employment opportunities in a more equal manner, because now everybody is kind of, so this is a topic which I think needs to be addressed more often. And it's very relevant. And I feel that education, in spite of everything, what we have seen today in this recent, incident in Dr. Carr, or so many of these things that's happening in the society, we see that, yeah, women, even if they're educated, even if they're um, really big achievers, or doing going out of the way and doing stuff, but then there are gender roles that are attached to them, and we need to break this, and we need to break the ceiling, of so thank you so much for addressing such a relevant topic, and you gave such wonderful examples and very good data and statistics. And the film that came up recently, that was one that needs to be shown to every woman, every man, because this is how we want a society to be now, a more equal platform to be given to everyone. Thank you so much once again. And we move on.
If I may just add one thing, that let's use all these things as rolling pin as a life skill, like cooking as a life skill should not only be taught to girls, but to taught to boys too.
Yeah.
Similarly, financial literacy should be taught to girls too. So everything should be taken as a life.
Everything should be together. So rolling pins, I had seen actually I was talking about the mentality that is developed from early on. When it is the rolling pin, they think it's the balan, and the children, they would say that, this is my mom, she does that. But the boys never say it. So it's basically the home environment as well. So that they bring into the school, and then how we make them, teach them to become more gender neutral is on us, and how we incorporate that or inculcate that feeling of being more equal and respecting each other. The respect bit is very important. And yeah, so children always come with with what they gain from the environment or the knowledge that they have. But we need to kind of reinforce the right things into them. Thank you so much. And so we move on to our next speaker of the day. She is Miss Rashi Oberoi, and she is the head of pre-primary at Salwan Public School, Delhi. And today her topic would be positive affirmations. And over to you, Rashi. Your 10 minutes starts now.
Yeah, pranam all of you, and thank you, Dr. Vasvi. And I would like to compliment my previous speaker, Dr. Vidhu. Very potent point made that gender neutrality is so important. And I think that starts with effective parenting and an enabling learning environment. So positive affirmations is going to, it's more of a extension of what Dr. Vidhu has said. So I'm going to start by saying one thing. When we say parenting, schools are also playing a larger role in parenting today. So effective parenting starts at the home and continues into a school. So the goal is one. The goal is, how do we make our child successful? Both the parent and the school are looking at the same thing. For that, I would just say, what makes a child successful? This one formula. A child who is successful because nobody told them that something was impossible. A child has to grow up with the confidence that if I choose to do it, I have to find a way of doing it. But when I say that nothing is impossible, it doesn't mean that you become reckless about it. So there comes in an enabling learning environment and an effective parenting, where we create a safe space for a child to go on to discover themselves and discover new things that make the world a better place. So here also, how we communicate to the child is going to play a very important role. I'm going to speak on broadly 3 to 5 points, which are going to be critical on how we deal with a child at home and in a classroom. Firstly, please treat the child as an equal. Don't treat the child as somebody whose opinion doesn't matter. It is very important. When you're raising your child or you're raising a student, in both, please start from a place of mutual respect, where your word and my word are equally important, and let us have this conversation. So that is very important. And when you have a conversation with a child, speak to the child not to change or shift the child's mind to what you believe is right or wrong, but to put the possibilities in front of the child that these are the options. If this is what you choose to do, let's sit down, let's make the pros and cons. When does a child become unreasonable? As a parent or as a teacher, we all understand the child becomes unreasonable when the child feels they are not heard. But when you sit down, rationalize with the child, saying, let's sit down, let's make a table of these are the benefits, these are the drawbacks of the action, the child will automatically come to the solution. We keep speaking, we want to give solution givers to the world, but what is our step forward there? Are we working towards that? So that's my first takeaway that I would like to give all the listeners here, that please speak to the child from a point of mutual respect, where their voice is as important. And if you want to steer the child to your thought process, please put down the pros and cons. The second is be present. Most of the times what we do is, when the child is listening, we're quite dismissive. We say, okay, let them finish listening, then we'll tell them what we want them to do. So listen to what a child is doing, respect, pay attention to what a child is doing. When a child is feeling that they're heard, they automatically learn to give back that respect. Every time we interact with parents or we interact with each other as colleagues, we tell that, remember, we are modeling a behavior. If we are not able to show the child what we want from the child, there is no way the child is going to give us that in return. So effective and enabling learning environment is where the child feels that their voice is heard. The child feels that there is a respect for the choices they are making. And there is a possibility where we are making the effort to create that space where the child can experiment, explore, and learn. Only then do we create inventors. Also, when you're speaking to a child, always, whether you're a teacher or a parent, quote your life experiences. That's where the value system becomes ingrained in a child. When a child hears your experiences, the child knows that this is coming from the heart. It's not coming from just a page that has been printed. So do use bring in your life experiences into the classroom. That is so important. Now, yes, you have to be the best friend. Another very important tip I would like to give. Yes, you have to be the best friend to your child. But having said that, when you're the best friend, it doesn't mean that, that is the friendship. The best friend as in the best enabler to your child, the best wisher, well-wisher to your child. That is the kind of best friend that you would like to be. Make room. That will be my most important point. Make room for your child. Make room for your child's voice. Make room for your child's choices. Do things that with the children that let them explore. What most of the time what we do is we do it for them and we tell them, okay, a child who is listening to us, watching to us, and seeing us do things is learning only one thing, that the elders do it right. So like Dr. Vasfi said, we give a rolling pin to the child and say, come on, roll out of it. Whether you're rolling it in shape or not is a progress. It's a development. So let the child do things. Don't do it for them. And about creating an enabling learning environment, all you have to do is make sure that the child has the confidence that I have the space to explore. You are not creating anything special. That is what the child deserves. It is the right of a child. It is a fundamental right of a child that a child is allowed to grow as an individual, not as somebody who is your reflection or reflection of your choices. So that is the most important thing that I feel we need to do. Also, in the presence of a child, the most important thing is please model your behavior, because the child learns how to treat others, treat work, treat their learning the way they see you treat it. If you have a casual approach, the child will also pick up that casual approach. If you show your commitment, your dedication, the child learns the same thing. So the child learns respect when they see you giving respect. So as I said, and any enabling, I will close with this, that a child learns to do the impossible when they are told that nothing is impossible. That will be my closing remarks. So create a parenting network, a parenting space, and a learning environment where the child grows with your safe picket fences set at the corners. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to sit back and watch them take the risks. But if you create safe spaces, the risks are contained, controlled, and allowing them to grow and explore. And that concludes my 10 minutes, Dr. Vasri. So back to you.
Thank you so much, Rashi. And yeah, respect that you talked about. We need to respect our child's decisions, opinions, their desire to explore something, take risks. And as parents, we need to be scaffolding them, but not really, kind of uh, cushioning them. So we need to help them in places where they need, where they're struggling, but at the same time, we need to teach them to become independent. We should, like you said, they need to be heard, because it's very important to be heard, and that is I think a problem that nowadays even the teenagers, we generally work with children in the early years, but when I come across teenagers, they have a problem that they feel that they're not heard. They feel that their problems are not being understood. So what happens, this habit of listening and being friendly to your children, like you said, friendship is a part of our parenting process, but at the same time setting boundaries, and but again, listening to your child, being a friend, setting boundaries, at the same time enabling them to take risks, encouraging them, motivating them. And I feel all of this works towards this positive affirmations that you have very beautifully said, and to our audience today. And thank you so much for joining us. And it's been a pleasure listening to you. And again, to tell you, last we met this time in April for our summit, and it has been a really lovely experience working with the Salvan Education Trust, all the very aware and empowered educators that I got to meet. So thank you for being a part of the forum today.
It's
So
a
we
pleasure.
move on. So we move on to our last speaker. She is Kalash LV Alexandra, and she has joined us today to speak about the uniqueness in every child. So Kalash LV has done her degree in education, majoring in early years from UK, and she's a certified trainer and EC license holder from Canada. She has over 20 years of experience in early childhood and has successfully trained many EC educators around the globe, namely the UAE, Indonesia, Australia, Canada, and Malaysia. So today her topic is an interesting one, identifying the uniqueness in every child. And I so look forward to hearing from you. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Vaishnavi. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in this sphere of influence. As everyone knows, I have 20 years of experience in early childhood industry, working with children and educators across the globe. And this has given me a learning opportunity as well to learn both the perspectives of both the educators and their children. So the educators here, they are very passionate, they're committed, they're dedicated, but they are geared towards the objectives and the goals that they have in hand to be finished during the whole semester or an academic year. Not knowing that the children have a different perspective. Working with children across the globe with a different race, religion, creed, colors, all the children have in the mind is fun play, and learn through play. So when both the objectives are not met or not seen as eye to eye, this is where the question of the success rate comes about. We have seen in the past, or even now, many graduates of medical students have ended up being bankers. We have engineers who have ended up being entrepreneurs. We have to question ourselves why this thing has happened. There's only one answer to this. The stakeholders, the well-wishers, such as the parents, the guardians, and also the educators, they hold the steering wheel and they want the children to move towards where they have directed them to move. And apart from this, the children were forced to learn in a way, something that they did not want or they didn't have a passion on it. Over the years, they successfully finished the academic qualification only to realize that's not what they want to pursue in their life as an ambition. So let's give the child a learning opportunity from the onset, from the start, in the early years, because we believe children are the pillars of one's nation. Each child, even the ones on spectrum, has more than one unique characteristics. Given opportunity, they can shine and they can excel. Don't steal their childhood when they are supposed to live one. Creating a path through academic, holistically, through physical, emotional, and every aspect of the child's learning curve. As stakeholders, we are the navigators. Undeniably, we are the navigators. But ultimately, always remember, it's the child that's going to reach their own port. The port of entry they have chosen, and the port of entry they're going to be, and that's when they're going to strive, they're going to excel, and they're going to be contributing towards their nation. Be it right or be it wrong, always praise the child generously. I have this approach that's called the PIE approach. It's P-I-E. Praise the child generously, create the interest, and encourage. How do you do that? Academic is very important. No one can strive or no one can excel without an academic perspective. Not through fun, they learn to be a prime minister or a doctor in a country. So how are we going to have this created in a way that the children will accept what the teachers have had in store or what the parents want them to study? Praise the child. Don't wrong them, even if it's wrong. Tell them, you have done it. This is right. But come, sit with me and we can do this way. Both of us can do and strive and we work well hand in hand and we're going to achieve very well together. Praise the child. Create the interest. Let's say if the child has very good language capability, but mathematically the child has gone wrong somewhere. It's not that the child is stupid. It's not that the child is a slow learner. It's just that the child has lost his interest on that particular subject. So how do you create the interest? That's how the stakeholders' importance come in. As an adult, as a teacher, we have to create an interest on the topic that it's not being well accepted by the child. And then encourage them endlessly that you can do it. you can do it and you will do it. Let's do it together. Always assure them that you are there for them. This way, the children will start liking the subject they most hate, and in return, you get what you want. You have taught them, they loved it, they excel it, and there you go. Your objectives have been met. So this process actually helps you to identify, observe, and guide them towards what you want. But little do you know that the child has learned it in a fun way, that they start exploring in a way more than you can imagine it to be. And they have actually proven that this way has given them an opportunity to teach, to learn, and also to persevere. The uniqueness is tapped in more than one way. Having worked in Australia and also in Canada, screen time, digital era is not the point. There is no screen time for preschoolers, no screen time for kindergarteners, only grade 1 and above. So the children are given an opportunity to play outdoor. 1.5 hours playing on the mud, playing on the puddle of water, playing with snow is what you see, but it's not what is in return. So this is how it goes in these countries where they successfully use the VAK theory, which is the visual, audio, and kinesthetic theory. How do they teach this? For example, for a preschooler, when you have a guide to teach them an ABC, using a visual is a must, because you need to use books, you need to use flashcards, you need to use some lesson aids, worksheets. But then that is not the classroom of 20 is going to learn. You may get 10 successful learners through that way, but there are 10 learners who are not going to learn through the visual way. So how we implement is to add on audio. It can be true. Like I said, there is no screen time in preschool and kindergarten. How we do is we add on some songs that are going to incorporate and reinstate the teaching of the ABC. And lastly, the kinesthetic way is when we bring some creative play that is actually more lesson-based to the outdoor while they have spent 1 hour of their energy playing in the snow, playing in the mud, playing in the water. At the end, we bring them aside, tell them some story or do some creative play that indirectly, it is actually a reinstatement of what they have studied in the last 10 or 15 minutes using the visual or the audio techniques. So there are more than one way to tap the multiple intelligence of this child. So we cannot go back to just the rote learning or one way of the conventional teaching of just using the books. This way, the child is not going to be successful and you are not going to meet your objectives. So lastly, to just end the note, a lot of affection, a lot of love and compassion should be given towards this industry rather than just pedagogy, rather than just aiming on what your objectives and goals are, but to work with the children the way they want you to work with. Ultimately, both are going to meet the learning objective, both are going to meet the goals and end up having a successful journey together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is what our, what we all have been doing now, because we need to, like you said, no rote learning, no learning from, by the traditional methods that we have been the pen and paper, and there's a lot of experiential learning that is happening and that needs to happen. We need to change. There are places where we can see that that learning is still very traditional, but things are changing. And in different parts of the globe, like Shelby already said, things in Canada, it's more of screen time or something. But we need to kind of, like so many speakers today spoke about these digital time, screen time, how to avoid, how to kind of increase concentration in children, and these different ways of teaching, the VAT, we would say, visual, audio, and the kinesthetic or the experiential way of learning. Well, thank you so much for your delivery on this very interesting topic, identifying the uniqueness in every child. And we have come to the end of today's Sphere of Influence. And we are so glad that so many speakers joined us today from different parts of the globe and spoke about very pertinent topics related to early childhood education and care and effective parenting, the enabling learning environment, which is very necessary for children. And today, we would I extend my heartiest thanks to everyone, all the viewers, all the listeners. And we shall shortly be uploading this in our YouTube channel and sharing the link with you so that you can share it forward. And so we come to the end of the sphere of influence, and I would like to announce, like I've done before today, that we are coming up with the ECDF Flourishing Families Parenting Summit on the 28th of September in Guwahati. And this summit will address some very important topics related to parenting and how parents can, really be role models in the life of their children, and we can give better life to our children in the society, a better environment. And that is what we aimed at. And thank you once again for joining us today. With this, I say goodbye. And until the next virtual event, stay happy, stay safe, and have a pleasant and a very good weekend ahead. Thank you.